I want to first of all say that this is about privacy. What we are advocating is privacy. 250 years ago, the Declaration of Independence had that most famous phrase, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, they debated happiness back in those days, and they started out with property. What is pursuit of property? That is, you own what is yours, and that included privacy, the ability of you to control what you owned. What we're talking about is losing the ability to control what you own, what you buy, where you go. That's what we're talking about, is privacy here. Now, look, as the gentleman said, we support surveillance on foreign actors on foreign soil. And with a warrant, we support law enforcement to do what they need to do with a warrant. I want to tell you a story about facial recognition. One of my staff members has a young boy. He's at camp right now. So when they dropped him off at camp, they showed him that they said, give us a photograph of your son. They did so. What they're going to use that for is they have cameras everywhere at this camp to protect the young. What they're going to do is use AI to take one of the pictures that they take randomly, identify his son, chop out a picture with him in the middle of his campmates, and send it to the parents. Now that's an okay use, they agree to that, but that same capability will pick you out of a crowd with AI facial recognition. In the wrong hands, any technology in the wrong hands can be used for evil purposes. Let's get back to cameras. The Ring doorbells. A lot of people have them. In fact, some communities have a lot of them. And now law enforcement is going and demanding, when they think there's been a crime that this camera might have seen, demanding that they be allowed to see what that Ring doorbell recorded. Again, technology can be used for good or for evil. And I want to point out that the United States today, even without some of the things we're talking about here, today is one of the most surveilled nations in the world, right up there with China, Russia, some of the Middle Eastern countries. One of the most surveilled nations in the world, and that's before we get to CBDC. I want to go back to Benjamin Franklin, because we're celebrating 250 years this year. But frankly, we don't need to be celebrating just the actual 250 years because we've made it 250 years. We need to be celebrating the wisdom of the founders. And part of the wisdom is what we've talked about several times here. This statement that is so apropos to what we are discussing tonight. Those who would give up essential liberty and privacy written into the Declaration of Independence, codified in the Constitution, those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. And why would the safety be temporary? Because when people come along that will use it for evil purposes, it would not provide safety at all.
Would the gentleman from Texas agree that all of us, men and women, fall short of the grace of God?
Absolutely.
Right? We all. Unfortunately, there is darkness within the hearts of men and women on occasion. We all fall short. And this Constitution exists so that we have a remedy for the times where somebody misuses the awesome power that is provided at the government level with the use of law enforcement as the enforcer. I think back to a time not so long ago, there was a pandemic in this country. I was in some state of shock and disbelief that our government told people they could not work, they could not earn a living. that they had to inject an experimental substance into their body or lose their employment. People say it can't happen or it can't happen again, but it did happen. It happened just a little while ago. And now, I mean, I'm talking to people that say, I see things with my own eyes right now, and I say, how did they do that? And they said, it's AI. 6 months ago, we didn't have the capability. We have that capability now. FISA still exists. Facial recognition software is available. The kill switch is still being mandated for your car. Automatic license plate readers are being installed by the thousands and tens of thousands. And we are on the edge. As a matter of fact, we just passed a bill about a week and a half ago with a go-live date for a central bank digital currency. And the data centers that are going to collate all this information are being put in every single town and every single state and county, it seems like, across the country. And people don't even know what the data center's for. I think people would support them if it was to fight China. But if it's just to collect all this data about all of us, I don't think people are going to go for that. But I think that's what Mr. Self is getting at this evening. Somebody has to be the stewards of this constitutional right that we have to our own effects, our own privacy, unless there is probable cause that we did something wrong. Not we're going to sweep it all up just in case you did something wrong or just in case we don't like you and we don't agree with what you're doing, and then we're going to declare it wrong and make it wrong and punish you for it.
And to the gentleman's point, I want to end with China, because a lot of people say this is all theory. You're overreacting. This is hyperbole. It will never happen here. But China has something they call the social credit score. So they take your social credit score and they measure you based on everything. What you buy, what you post on the internet, what you say to your fellow worker, what they see you do, how you drive, everything the government takes into account for a social credit score. And then they will tell you how you can live your life based on your social credit score. And it's all on collected data. It's based on collected data. So for my fellow Americans, that's what we are facing. We are facing a social credit score if all of this happens. The kill switch, the CBDC, warrantless surveillance on your electronic communications. That's what we're looking at if all of this happens. And these cameras proliferate across America.
But will the gentleman yield?
Absolutely.
It's already happened. It's happening. It's already happened. We already talked about the millions of Americans that were spied on under the guise of foreign intelligence surveillance. We've already talked about that. We've already talked about the government lying to us about the effects of the pandemic and forcing us to inject things into our bodies that were experimental. These things aren't theory. These things aren't something that might happen in the future. These are things that did happen and are happening at a more and more alarming rate and are ubiquitous and becoming more ubiquitous in our society. I will yield.
Absolutely. But let me make this point. It can get worse. What you're saying is true, but it can get worse. That is what we are trying to stop. That is why we are sounding the alarm, that the surveillance state must be stopped, and the red line in the sand right now is FISA reform. Without FISA reform to include a permanent ban on CBDC and securing our elections, I believe does not cut the mustard. Does the gentleman have any closing comments?
Well, it's interesting. Every single Republican member here already voted in favor of limiting the government's ability to install a central bank digital currency. We've had assurances from leadership from the top to the bottom. We're told that people in the other chamber are all for it as well. But it's fascinating and interesting to me that as much as that may be true and it's proclaimed, we simply can't seem to get an up or down vote on it, which leads me to believe they have every intention of instituting. And the fact that they put a go-live date in the last bill that we passed should sound the alarm bell to every single American who doesn't want their bank accounts to be monitored and controlled by the federal government. Do not allow this to happen. I yield.
And I will say that I consider the CBDC, the central bank digital currency, the final leg in the surveillance state stool. With that, Mr. Speaker, I yield the balance of my time.
So the gentleman yields. Do you have a motion?
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.